muy malo. Roto el pato de vestuario. La interpretación siempre negativa. Siempre negativa. Nunca positiva.
Welcome to Siempre Positivo after a weekend which saw Barcelona extend their lead at the top of LaLiga to 4 points, but it could have been 6 if they had beaten Real Betis rather than draw 1-1. An acceptable performance dip after 4 games in 10 days or something more worrying. I'm Sam Martin, joined by Toni Juan Marti. Tony, how are you doing?
Hi Sam, how are you? Good morning. Fine, happy, good mood, went to the gym early this morning, had the off weekend. Eating well, good weather, good friends. So, would say perfect and lovely mood. And even better after knowing that Burnley made their homework and now they are closer to Premier League. So, congratulations also for you.
Thanks. You know what, going to the Barça game on Saturday night, all the results on Saturday afternoon, because I also follow... Even though I'm a Burnley fan, that's where my dad's from Burnley. My local team is down in Cornwall is Truro. And Truro had won, they were second. They'd beaten the team top of the league to go top. All the other teams around had lost. Burnley had won to go top. All the other teams around had either lost or drawn. And Real Madrid had obviously lost, giving Barcelona the chance to extend their lead at the top of the table. Barca were the only ones that didn't quite follow the script on Saturday. Otherwise, it would have been sort of like all the results would have gone absolutely to plan as you would have written them, but it wasn't to be for Barcelona. It looked like you had a nice weekend. Where were you?
No, I went to the village where my parents are from. It's not very usual, but both my dad and my mom are both from the same village, from a little town close to the Pyrenees. Which is a village called Salàs de Pallars with only 200 people living there. And both, not only my dad or only my mom, both are grown in this little village. So a lot of family there. So happy weekend. It's true that I watched the Barça game. It's true. But I tried to be a little bit off apart from watching Barça's game, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, let's get to the football then, to the weekend. Real Madrid went first this weekend and they lost, surprisingly, 2-1 at home to Valencia. They trailed 1-0, they levelled to make it 1-1. It looked like it would be a draw, and then there was a twist in the tail in the 95th minute. Valencia winning the game 2-1 at the Santiago Bernabeu. I think it was their first win at the Bernabeu in something like 17 years, which left Real Madrid 3 points behind Barcelona, having played a game more. It gave Barca, as I said in the introduction, a chance to move 6 points clear at the top of La Liga. It looked on the cards when they opened the scoring against Real Betis. They actually, I thought, started the game okay, quite well. Gavi opened the scoring. Gavi not celebrating, of course, because he came from Betis as a sort of 11, 12-year-old, I think it was, to the club. But Betis got back into the game. Nathan with a header from a corner. Ronald Araujo not defending him too well. And from there, Barca just couldn't quite click, really. Flick said he thought they improved in the second half. In the first half, they gave away gave away the possession, gave away the ball too many times. They didn't create too many great chances. The Koundé one perhaps comes to mind. There were a couple more. Certainly in the first half, there was one for... I'm going back to the wrong moment now. To the second half, sorry, the Koundé one. And yeah, it was just a day when things just didn't quite click, really. Lamine Yamal, I thought, was particularly off, but all the forwards were. From my point of view, I don't know if acceptable is the word. It's not something to dwell on too much. Barcelona are still unbeaten in 22 games in 2025. They're now 4 points clear of Real Madrid with 8 games to go. Yes, it wasn't a result that they wanted, but Betis also played their part in the game. I thought they defended quite well. They were quite aggressive, but also quite fair, I thought, the way they defended. And this was a Betis team that had won 6 games in a row going into this game, including a win against Real Madrid a few weeks ago. Tony, what did you make of it? Did you think Barca could have... Oh, obviously, they could have done more to win, but do you think, given this was their 4th game in 10 days, given they'd won the other 3, given they'd reached a Copa del Rey final in midweek, do you think this was an understandable, perhaps, drop-off, especially with Borussia Dortmund on the horizon on Wednesday?
In my opinion, yes. If you take a look on the weekend, for sure it's positive because you have 1 point more than Madrid, no? And at the end, it's about this for sure, because it was obvious that you were not going to win all the games, but Madrid losing at home gives you one extra point, which is very important. But apart from this, trying to analyze what happened against Betis, for me, I would say 4K points, no, to explain why Barça didn't win Real Betis. First of all, for sure, no, the fact that after the international break you had to play against Osasuna, you didn't have rest. You can see some players a little bit tired, and when I say tired, sometimes it's not only related with physical, but also mentally, because at the end, when you play football or when you do sport with your friends, you see that, or you play tennis or whatever, when you are tired, you are not that clinical. When you go and practice, for example, basketball with some friends, if you are tired, you are not clinical with 3-pointers, or with tennis, so it's the same. You can see that some players are not clinical in terms of Pedri, Lamine, Rafinha also exhausted a little bit. So first point is obvious, no, that you have played several games, and this, maybe later in this pod we can be back, because I'm a little bit worried regarding this point. But second point, for sure, is that you cannot be always clinical. In last games, Barça has been really clinical. Don't forget about this. For example, the game that you win against Atletico in Wanda Metropolitano 2-4 in LaLiga, it's already some weeks ago. You didn't create a lot of chances. Three chances and 4 goals you scored, because that final goal of Lamine was not even like a real chance. So some days you are very clinical, other days you are not that clinical. This can happen. It is always related also with when you are tired. When you are a little bit tired, the final decision sometimes is not that clinical. And then 2 final reasons. The most important for me, I will let it for the end, but Betis is a good team defending. Take a look. It's not easy to score 4 goals against Betis. It's a very competitive team with players that they know what to do with the ball. They don't get nervous when you press them, Lo Celso, Fornals. I mean, it's an interesting team with good defenders, so it's a very competitive team, Betis, for sure. And the last point, which for me is the most important, and we have discussed about this in previous pod, is what I told you, that this young squad in K games, and I can accept that it was not K game, it was normal LaLiga game, but feeling that you are getting closer to LaLiga, and after Real Madrid losing his game, there are plenty of young players that got like a little bit nervous or anxious, like, wow, Madrid lost, we have to win. Hey, keep calm, the game is 95 minutes. If you score a goal after 70 minutes, it's enough to win. And I saw some players like too rushy in terms of nervous, being desperate after 25 minutes, as if something was going wrong only because they were 1-1 in the score, like Pedri, Frankie, Lamine. Keep calm. I mean, that's what I meant when I was saying these extra points of experienced players, that when these kind of situations arrive, you have to be able to keep calm. It seemed that it was a final and Barça was losing the life if they were not winning before 85 minutes against Betis. Calma, Madrid lost. You are playing well. Keep calm, patience. I saw some players like Pedri, Gavi trying to do the last pass too quick, too fast. Keep calm. So that's what I noticed, that they need to keep calm, because it's normal that you are young and you want to eat the world. But keep calm, because sometimes over-motivation is underperforming. So that's what I noticed, and I think it has to be a great lesson, because, for example, now this week, Dortmund comes, and everybody's saying Barça is favorite. What does it mean, being favorite? That if after 60 minutes you are 0-0, you will attack as if there was no other chance? No, keep calm, protect yourself, that there has not to be any counter-attack. Keep calm. If you beat Dortmund 1-0, it's fine. So that's what I was saying in the last pods, that you need to manage situations under pressure. And in this game, I think that the team struggled a little bit to stay calm.
You think that happens? Yeah, you could see that because of the Real Madrid result. You think that was because of the Real Madrid result or just because of the...
Yes. No. A little bit because they are tired, but a little bit because everybody saw it like the final chance to win LaLiga. Like, wow, it's today and we kill them. So it was like a final. And no, it wasn't the final.
Yeah, well, like you say, still, I guess at the end of the day, still four points clear now, with 8 games to go, including the Clasico, obviously, in May. And also, even though it was like that, Betis are a team that also have been in great form, like you say, in terms of not just defensively, but in terms of scoring goals, etc. in recent weeks. But Barca, I mean, the goal was not great. A really sort of easy goal from a corner. I'm sure Araujo said that he should have done much better on Nathan, but they didn't give a lot away. There were a couple of times when Betis almost caught them out on the counter with high balls over the top. But in general, they created very, very little, didn't they, Betis?
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, that's what it is. When we said also in previous spot that you have to control these things. In a Champions League final, a corner kick is enough. Is enough to decide the trophy in big nights. It's not only about playing well. So yeah, it's true that it was a mistake of Araujo. But for example, last year, the Champions League, Madrid won because a corner kick, a header of Carvajal. So I insist again, this Champions League, these tournaments, it's not about tournament in which, okay, let's see who pass and who fails. No, only one pass. It's not about doing things well. It's about doing the things the best. And you have to compete also perfectly in corner kicks because only a single corner kick can be enough to be out. And of course, football is a game of mistakes. I'm not complaining. I mean, it's impossible to control all the mistakes. I'm only saying that these kind of actions, you have to pay maximum attention because what happened with Araujo and Nathan, if it happens in again against another team, might be crucial. So it's about details. Football is about details, and when you don't control details, everything changes.
Yeah, I'm sure Araujo will be out of the team against Dortmund. Inigo Martinez didn't play at the weekend. He had a slight knock, but Flick says he'll be back in training.
Well, let's see how is his overload in the ischio. I also think. Inigo will start. I also think Inigo will start, yes.
Yeah, he should be back in training Monday. Obviously, the game not until Wednesday. It gives him a couple of days before the game to see how he's feeling. Just at the end of the game, Tony, there was a very, very wound-up Rafinha. I guess the Rafinha situation is not surprising, but obviously he didn't play against Osasuna because he was coming back from international duty. He was on the bench against Girona. Didn't come on either. He then did play against Atletico Madrid, didn't have his best game in midweek. I think everyone then expected what was missing was perhaps a little bit of rhythm, and then he wasn't on the starting lineup against Real Betis, which was perhaps a little bit of a surprise. People thought perhaps that's a game when maybe Lamine Yamal will come out of the team and Rafinha will start, but he was on the bench. He came on for the final half an hour, didn't have a huge impact, and then he ended the game in a very, very angry manner. I'm not sure exactly why. I don't know if you know exactly what went on at the end of the game. He had Ter Stegen pulling him away. He seemed to be angry. Was it the referee, the officials, for perhaps how his perception of how they'd referee sort of certain Betis defending? I don't know if you've got any insight on Rafinha, why he didn't start and why he was so angry at the end of the game.
Well, what I've been told is that the how do you say the referee of the side, the
linesman, assistant referee, or
the linesman, he complained about him. Rafinha complained about something, and the linesman told him to shut up. And then Rafinha felt offended, irritated because the linesman telling him to shut up. He thought it was mistreating him. That's the only thing I have been told regarding Rafinha. It's true that he's a little bit frustrated. It's true that you see him without, how do you say, without chispa.
Just lacking that spark that he's had,
Yeah, we saw him against Atletico with very good attitude, but not that sharp in terms of energy. Again, the same against Betis. So, I don't know if there's something else regarding him that we have not been told, but it's a strange situation, no? Because he played against Atletico, then he was also in the bench. Rafinha is a player which the more he plays, the better he is. So now I will say something that in the next spot I will have to apologize. But in my opinion, even if he's going to be started against Dortmund, and even if he can make an assist after 10 minutes, yes, for sure, I don't see that Rafinha is in a very good point against Dortmund because he's a little bit like out of rhythm. I don't expect him to be top against Dortmund because after the break, he has only played one game. Yesterday, only Saturday, 30 minutes. Rafinha is like a trailer. The more he plays, the more he gets in good shape. And now he's not with this rhythm of minutes, and getting like a beast. So I'm a little bit worried regarding this. That's the point I wanted to make again. What I said at the beginning of the pod, no? Because without Olmo, without Casado, with Rafinha a little bit without energy, Pedri a little bit tired also. If we make a graphic of which has been the prime of Barça in terms of fitness, I would say that the prime has been this last month of March. And I hope I'm now making a mistake of analyzing too quick, too fast. But maybe if we do the graphic, we can be in the beginning of a little bit of fall, of drop in terms of fitness of Barça. And I'm a little bit worried because in the last two games, I didn't see that levels of energy. And I hope I'm wrong because now you have very important games. But in terms of prime, I think that the team suffered a little bit in terms of fitness, in terms of cardio, the last 25 minutes against Atletico, but it's normal that you suffer. Against Betis, also I saw some symptoms of tiredness. Also, Pedri had to be off. No sé. Without Olmo, Casado, there is no big depth of a squad. Also, Ferran has played a lot, so no sé. I'm a little bit.
Well, yeah.
I imagine, for example, next games, and if I see that we are not winning after 50 minutes, who is my weapon in the bench? Sam, who is my weapon in the bench?
Fermin, people like that. Fermin and Ferran, yeah.
We are a little bit on the limit of power. I hope I'm wrong, but that's what I have noticed in the last 3 games.
Yeah, like you say, when you take Olmo out and if Rafinha's a slight dip. I mean, it happens to all clubs. And Barca have, like we said, they're 22 games unbeaten in 2025. But that also means they've played 22 games in 2025. And it's the 7th of April, so in just over 3 months. And that obviously includes an international break in March when a lot of players travelled and played 2 more games. So would have played 24 games in, 88 days or something like that. It's wild. They've also played 4 in 10. So what you kind of hope is that, and what you would imagine the plan based on what Flick says, is that perhaps this Atletico and Real Betis concerns that you have are perhaps just a little bit more to do with the 4 games in 10 days as opposed to a longer term trend and something that can be sort of corrected in the coming weeks. I don't know how you would manage it in terms of, obviously you've now got the Dortmund tie Wednesday and Tuesday and Leganés on Saturday away. I mean, do you think this could be a situation where there could be wholesale changes against Leganés?
No sé. To be honest, Sam, some days ago I was convinced that Barça could smash Dortmund at home, and for sure I'm exagerar, ¿cómo se dice en inglés?
Exaggerate?
Maybe I will exaggerate now, but I was convinced that maybe Flick was going to be more able to rotate against Dortmund in the second leg than in Leganés. But now I have changed my point of view. And
well, it's a good point though, because I guess it will depend on, like you say, it will depend on how that first leg goes against Dortmund. There could be in a situation where, if we get ahead of ourselves and without wanting to sort of, they could have a decent win, which would perhaps allow them, in the second leg to make some changes. But no.
No, but in my opinion, it will be difficult to break the tie. I mean, to break. I think Barça. I don't expect Barça to win for more than 2 goals. I mean, 3-0 or 4-1 for me would be something bigger than I expect. I can easily expect 2-0, 3-1, 2-1, but I don't think you will solve it. And I think it's very dangerous, the game against Leganés, because you will be focused on that Dortmund tie.
Leganés have beaten Barça, they've beaten Atletico, they did really well against Real Madrid 2 weeks ago.
They defend very well, they need the points to avoid the relegation. You will play in Dortmund on Tuesday, which it means you will fly on Monday. So there is almost no margin after. This is
a stupid thing. We criticise LaLiga a lot for their scheduling, but I don't know why UEFA do this thing where they swap the games around. So if you play Wednesday, you then play Tuesday, whereas if you play Tuesday, you then play Wednesday. And I know at every point it will affect a different team, but to play Wednesday and then play Tuesday with a league game in the middle is tough for all teams that have to do it. And obviously it's the same for both teams. Obviously Dortmund will have to play at the weekend. It'll be the same for the other clubs that are playing that night and Tuesday, but just why not play Tuesday and Wednesday? I don't know why they have to swap those ties around.
Yeah, well, I don't think it depends on UEFA, because you as a league, you can change the games of your team. Some teams in Germany, they play Friday. I mean, it's not about UEFA for me. It's about LaLiga.
No, but in this sense, it's not possible, because UEFA have put the Barca game Wednesday, and then the second leg is on Tuesday. The only day Barca can play is Wednesday.
Why do they
Saturday.
cross? Why do they cross? Yeah.
It should be Wednesday, and Tuesday.
See, true.
Not where they do this Wednesday, and Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. True.
But admittedly, it's the same for both teams. Just looking ahead to that Dortmund game, I mean, we've touched on the team news. I don't think there is too much to analyse. There are perhaps two positions. Chesney in goal, yes, starts. Koundé right back, Balde left back, Pau Kubasi plus probably Inigo Martinez. That's, like you say, just the one doubt on his fitness, whether it's Inigo or Araujo. Frenkie and Pedri, Lamine, Rafinha, Lewandowski, and I think the question is probably Gavi or Firmino. I'd probably say it's a quite high percentage chance that Gavi starts over Firmino. I don't know how you're looking at the 11, Tony, for Wednesday night.
For me, the only doubt is Gavi or Firmino in the number 10 for sure. And I have to also tell you that I have doubts between both, no? Because one brings you more intensity, the other brings you more skills attacking. But it's funny because, curiously, last game was Gavi the one who scored. In my opinion, there is something that plays in favor of Fermin. It's about, again, same reason that I gave, I think, some days ago. If in the second half you need like a little bit of defensive energy, if you already have Gavi as a starter, you don't have no one to bring. Okay, Eric, who can be defensive midfielder, is not really sharp in terms of intensity. It's another profile. So I think in terms of planification of the game, for me would make more sense to go with Fermin as a starter, no? Because then you have different profiles of players in the bench. I need quality and scoring a goal. I go with Ferran. I need to protect a little bit myself. I go with Gavi. That's why this 10% for me plays against Gavi of being starter. But I don't know. I wouldn't be able this time to make a. Okay, I would go with Fermin as a starter, but I wouldn't go strong with Fermin. And to be honest, I have no input. Still yet regarding who is going to be the man.
Yeah, I'd lean towards Firmino just because of you're at home, like you say, the attacking output, like you say, even though Gavi obviously did score on Saturday, you expect more from Firmino in the final third in terms of quality, chance creation. He did quite well when he came on against Betis. I know it's easier sometimes to come on to a game when you're fresher and you're attacking than it is to be involved from the start in terms of having that output. But yeah, I'd probably lean towards Firmino. If the first leg was in Dortmund, you'd probably go Gavi. But the fact that it's at home, I think, makes me lead towards Firmino. Dortmund are in a kind of similar position to Barca. They're not going for the title, but they can't put all their eggs in the Champions League basket because they're 8th in the Bundesliga. They still are within touching distance of the European places. They obviously need to qualify for Europe next season, so they still need to be focused on the league as well. But they are in in quite good form. They've won a few games in recent weeks. It's going to be an interesting game on Wednesday at the Olympic Stadium. That's all we've got time for today. We'll be back later this week. Rick will be back from his wedding in Scotland. Not his wedding, a friend's wedding that he was attending.
No, tell the truth. Rick is going to be back when Chesney is defeated.
When Chesney is defeated, yeah. Rick's never going to be back.
Yeah, exactly.
Rick and Ter Stegen are never going to be back.
It was an elegant way of saying that Rick Sharma is no longer part of this pod.
Yeah, well,
as long as Chesney is the Superman.
Yeah. I don't think... Did Chesney have a save to make on Saturday? Could he have... Some people...
Yeah, there was a save from outside the box, but not unbelievable save. Just a normal save. No, at some point he will have to lose, but for the moment, let's keep going.
Yeah, we'll be back on Thursday after that Borussia Dortmund game at the Olympic Stadium on Patreon. We will also have a Q&A coming up later this week. In the meantime, stay positive.